One in every 250 businesses does over 10 million in sales, which means 99% of people never get there. I'm Jack Delosa, and over the last 10 years, I've built a portfolio of companies worth over $142 million. I also help other business owners to grow faster and make more money through my business, The Entourage, which is Australia's largest business coaching and growth agency, where we've helped our clients to generate over $6 billion in sales over the last 10 years alone. In this video, I'm going to share with you my exact blueprint of the 9 core things that $1 million business owners can do to go from $1 million to $10 million in sales. I'm going to take you inside a recent training of an exclusive room where I'm talking to a room of 7 and 8-figure business owners about how to scale faster and become wildly profitable. As entrepreneurs, we go into business in pursuit of freedom, don't we? We go into business in pursuit of financial freedom, time freedom, lifestyle freedom, creative freedom, freedom to choose who we work with, freedom to choose who we don't work with. But this dichotomy forms in that often the larger the business grows, the more all-consuming it becomes, the more the business owner experiences everything but freedom. Who can relate to that by show of hands? Awesome. Here's the thing. At The Entourage, we're starting to get really clear and define what are the kind of entrepreneurs that we create. And the answer is what we call an elevated entrepreneur. And the definition of an elevated entrepreneur is somebody that's doing $1 million of profit per annum, working less than 20 hours a week. Because this whole game of entrepreneurship should be about one thing, please write it down, and that is leverage. Leverage. How do we do more with less? How do we do more with less? And so how do we create an elevated entrepreneur? And it forms the basis, it's all founded upon some fundamental axioms. The first one is this. It's really important that we understand the base reality that every single business operates in a resource-constrained environment. Every business operates in a resource-constrained environment. It doesn't matter if you're a 6-figure business, if you're a 7-figure business, if you're an 8-figure business. It doesn't matter when we've worked with the Amexes of the world, the Telsters of the world, the Australian government. Every business is resource-constrained. You only have so much time. You only have so much capital. We only have so much marketing expenditure. We only have so much brand equity. We only have so many customers. And so when we talk about strategy, particularly in a high-growth, small to medium-sized business environment, strategy is a big, vague word that's thrown around a lot at conferences and, from speakers and videos. Everyone talks about strategy and innovation. It's like, what does that mean? And at a base reality level, when we talk about strategy in any business, what we're talking about is how do we allocate limited resources against unlimited options for the highest possible ROI. Strategy is how do we allocate limited resources against unlimited options for the highest possible ROI. Every decision in business is an investment decision. Every decision in business is an investment decision, meaning when you allocate an hour to a task, you are investing that time. When you ask a team member to focus on a particular task for a few days, that's an investment. When you say to your team, we're going in that direction, that's an investment. When you bring on your next employee, that's an investment. When we expand your marketing expenditure, that's an investment. Every decision in business is an investment decision. And so what do we look for in investment decisions? We look for asymmetry. We look for asymmetry, which is how do I input the least amount of input or the minimum effect, the effective minimum dose for the maximum output? And the minimum input isn't because you're lazy and you don't want to input a lot. It's just because we recognize we're operating in a resource-constrained environment and there's only so much of you and your people and your capital and your time to go around. And so we're looking for asymmetry, least amount of input for the most amount of output. And so becoming an elevated entrepreneur is not about run faster, work harder. I've been in business now for 20 years. I've been investing and advising in businesses for probably 17 or 16 years. We started the Entourage about 14 years ago. I've never seen, not once ever in my life, have I seen a business owner or entrepreneur go from here to here in their business and go, it's because I started working harder. It just doesn't happen. It's never the unlock once you get to where you are, right? It's never the unlock. What is the unlock is how do we make better decisions faster? What we're going to go through today, team, is a framework that will enable you to identify what are the core constraints in your business right now, what are the core initiatives that need to be deployed really effectively in order to have you scale to the next level, often working less in the business than you are right now. And so that's what we're doing today. If you are able to drive and complete one or two really impactful initiatives into your business each quarter, you're in the top 0.1%. You make 2 good decisions a quarter, you're in the top 0.1%. This is not a game of run faster, work harder. This is a game of become the architect, become the strategist, so that we know where to invest. When I say make more money in less time, the perspective of the technician goes, that's kind of impossible and it's kind of counterintuitive. But through the lens of entrepreneur and leader, it makes a lot of sense, right? If you're the bottleneck in the business and the only way the business can grow is through your personal exertion, then there's a very fixed glass ceiling on the business because there's only so much of your time and energy that can go around. And so if we're able to build an engine that's not completely reliant on your personal exertion, but has that leverage piece, has that engine piece that can grow beyond and independent of a lot of the time your personal exertion, well, now we're able to grow faster with you working less in the business and more on the business. That should be the objective of absolutely everybody in the room. Team, another huge pattern that you'll see in business owners is the world is full of business owners who are really, really good at what they do in terms of product or service, but are the world's best kept secret when it comes to sales and marketing, right? Many of you in the room right now probably are sitting here knowing full well that your product or service is superior to some of your competitors, but they're currently outperforming you because they're out marketing, they're out selling us. Who's ever been in that situation in any way, shape, or form? Yeah, absolutely. We've all been there, right? And so I know that you guys are great at what you do. What I want to talk to you about is how do we scale the thing from here in the most effective and efficient way possible. I'm going to dive into the drive growth cycle, team. This is a bit of a favorite for many of you that have been with us a few years. The drive growth cycle are the different components and aspects of your business that need to come together in order for it to scale. The drive growth cycle are the ingredients that when they come together will enable you to scale more efficiently and effectively. And you could go as far to say that if any of these pieces are missing, you're not going to be able to create that upward spiral of growth. But when these pieces are all together, you will create an upward spiral of organic growth that seems to fuel itself, right? So let's train on this model really quickly, team. I want you to write marketing. Most six-figure businesses are either marketing on an ad hoc basis or not at all. Meaning we're either not marketing at all or we're marketing when we remember to. We send an email out to our database when we remember to. We might even run some ads when we remember to. But there's not a concerted, dedicated strategy that ties together how we drive growth in this business. Please write this down, team. All growth is sales and marketing led. All growth is sales and marketing led. You can have the best product in the world. If we don't have the right buyer's journey, which is the term I use to combine marketing and sales, right? Because we do marketing and sales to help people buy, buyer's journey. If we don't have a defined and effective buyer's journey, you have the best product in the world, you're going to remain the world's best kept secret. If Facebook had have started, take a really, really, really one of the best products we've seen over the last 20 years. If Facebook had have started and said, we're for everybody, we're for grandchildren, grandparents, kids, parents, and everybody in between, we wouldn't know who they are today. But they started in colleges, they started with one very clear avatar, they knew what their USP was, they knew what their differentiator was, and they had a very targeted marketing strategy that enabled the business to grow. All growth is sales and marketing led. We want our marketing team to do a few things. Firstly, we want it to build our audience, your tribe of people who know you, like you, and trust you. We want it to generate you leads at the right quality and the right quantity on a monthly basis. And we want it to nurture any leads that don't yet buy. What do we think the purpose of marketing is? If we kind of chunk up even a little bit further, beyond lead generation, what is the purpose of marketing? The purpose of marketing, please write this down, is to reduce buyers' resistance. It's to reduce buyers' resistance. Who's ever walked into a shop and the shop person has said, "Hi, can I help you today?" And we respond with, "No thanks, I'm just looking." Why do we say that? We don't want to be sold to. And so because we don't want to be sold to, we put up these walls. I call these walls buyer's resistance. Every one of your prospects has buyer's resistance. It's not a question of do they have it or not, it's to what extent and to what intensity. But every single prospect that you have has buyer's resistance. What's the opposite of buyer's resistance? Buyer's acceptance. Buyer's acceptance, which is where we start to increase intent. What so many of us do, guys, is we move too quickly to increasing buyer's acceptance before we've decreased buyer's resistance. And it's kind of like trying to floor it in the car with the handbrake open. With the handbrake on. You don't really have the handbrake open, do you? So you're flooring it and the handbrake's on. What's going to happen? It's going to make a lot of noise, going to expend a lot of energy. Eventually the engine's probably going to blow. We blow a lot of lead generation opportunities. We blow a lot of sales because we move too fast to increase acceptance before we've addressed the resistance and before we've decreased the resistance. At a very high level, team, from a psychological perspective, what we're trying to do through marketing is decrease resistance, increase acceptance, and ultimately increase intent. And so on your model there, team, above marketing, you'll see a line with 3 sections. Let's talk about this first section. One of the problems that business owners make is in moving to increasing acceptance too quickly is if you are deploying ads, we're often just deploying ads at anybody and everybody. Or worse, on social media, our organic posts are just selling our stuff. Or every time we send an email to our database, we're selling our stuff. And I'm not ready for you to sell to me yet. I'm probably not ready to buy yet. And so we must develop a tribe of people who have said, I want to build a relationship with you. I want to know more and understand more about what you do for people like me. And I want to become part of your tribe. And so the first aspect of marketing, team, please write it down, is attract. Attract, which is you attracting an audience. You attracting a tribe. And it's a tribe of people that know you, like, and trust you. And every now and again, someone puts their hand up and says, hey, I'd love to have a buying conversation. Or if you're an e-com business, hey, I'm going to go visit that landing page. Right? A lot of the times, there's business owners that are using social media, but the social media is not necessarily converting into sales, right? You hear this a lot, team. There's some social media gurus, I won't mention names, you all follow him, And the main message is be on every social media platform all the time, do nothing other than create content. That's the sole thing that's going to grow your business. Just be on social media 24/7. And I think that's terrible advice. Like really bad advice. Why? Because as business owners, we operate in a resource-constrained environment. And so you only have so much time and energy and effort and focus to focus on. And between getting a social media follower and a customer is several steps, all of which we're going to go through today, that help bring them along the buying spectrum to eventually make a purchase. But what the advice of be on every platform and just do social media and just do content all day doesn't take into consideration is that there's a canyon, there's a huge gap between I'm following you on social and I'm ready to buy, and it requires strategy and it requires structure to bridge that gap. You hear this when people go, oh, we tried social media, it didn't work for our business. What they mean is we were posting on social media content or ads and nobody bought. We were using social media and it didn't translate to sales. It's because they were only doing social media without any buyer's journey behind the social media strategy. Who gets this, team? By show of hands. Awesome, thank you. And so the next element of marketing, please write it down, team, is convert, which is convert into leads. Convert, meaning how do we take somebody from following you to how do I define a lead? It's essentially somebody that's taken a step toward making a buying decision. And so if you're in professional services, or you're in real estate, a lead might be an email in the inbox. It might be somebody filling out a form. It might be the lead drops into the CRM. If you're in e-com, a lead is any traffic that lands on a product landing page. That's a lead. And so we need to develop a lead generation engine, some of which we're going to talk about today, that works for your business like a tap. You're able to generate more leads when you want to or less leads when you don't want them. Why is lead so important? Because it's the step before sales, which is where somebody makes a purchase. And so sometimes, so often, we're looking at the tree and we're going, grow branches, grow fruit, grow fruit, grow fruit, grow fruit. We're not attending to the roots. The roots start way back at the genesis, which is marketing and lead generation. All growth is sales and marketing led. Who gets this, team? By show of hands. Awesome, thank you. Now, does every lead buy straight away? Yes or no? No. And so the third thing we need our marketing to be doing, please write it in your model, is nurture. Nurture. We need to continue nurturing the leads that do not buy. And what's the purpose of a nurture sequence? Firstly, it should be automated, so the technology does the hard work. We'll talk about this a little bit today. But the purpose of the nurture sequence is to continue to increase somebody's certainty, to move them along the buying spectrum so that we're increasing their intent so that they ultimately make a buying decision. And we don't do that by making them offer. We do that by adding value, adding value, adding value, adding value, adding value, and within the value adds, integrating really elegant call to actions that occasionally invite them to take the next step. When we start to build out your marketing process team, your marketing funnel, one of the biggest mistakes, most common mistakes we see is that people with every piece of marketing are trying to make a sale. The point of every step in your journey is to what? Reduce buyer's resistance. And at every single step, we're not aiming to make a sale, we're aiming to what? Add value to get them to the next step. If you're an e-com business, think of it like this: never sell past the next click. Please write that down. It is a metaphor, even if that's not your business model. Never sell past the next click. Just get me to click the next thing. And then wherever that leads me, get me to click the next thing after that. But it's a journey that you're taking me through, as Maddie said, that slowly decreases resistance, increases intent, ultimately gets me to buy. And so marketing's generating that interest and attention. The next aspect here, team, is sales. And sales is where we turn that interest and attention into a paid customer. Sales is one aspect and area that founders really struggle to scale. Why? Because we view sales, you might sell through conversation, right? A consultative sales process, real estate, professional services. You might sell through really short conversations, retail, American Donuts, Chris somewhere in the room has got a nursery and a cafe, right? Or you might sell, if you're an e-com business, through landing pages. If you're an e-com business, marketing is traffic generation. Your sales is CRO, conversion rate optimization. 100% of your sales happen on landing pages. It's the same game, just applied slightly differently according to industry. It's an area that we struggle to scale because we view sales as an intuitive thing. It's almost like a gift of the gab type thing. We've either got it or we don't. And it's intuitive and it's this sort of dark art, we don't really know, and some people have it and some people don't, and you're really good at it and your team aren't, and so you end up being the main revenue generator in your business. And that's fine and almost necessary for a period of time, but eventually it leads to 40, 50, 60, 70-hour weeks and it becomes really unsustainable. It's crazy to us, team, at the Entourage, that most people put processes and systems around every aspect of their business, except the one aspect that generates the revenue and the cash, which is sales. Please write this down. I must have an our company way of selling. I must have an our company way of selling. I must have an our company way of selling. Yes, so what's your company name? Vima? I must have a Zima way of selling. I must have a talk shop way of selling, right? I must have a my company way of selling, which is essentially a process that bottles best practice for whether you figured it out or your team have figured some out. It's a dynamic process. It's ever evolving. It's ever improving. But it's a process that bottles best practice in terms of how do we take somebody from I'm interested to I'm buying? How do we take someone from curious to committed? And we need to bottle that so that we can optimize it, so that we can manage it, and so that you can eventually delegate it so that you're not the one doing it. You'll still be leading it and shaping it and guiding it and maximizing it, but you won't be the one doing it. And so, team, there's 3 aspects to generating a sales engine, regardless of your industry, that when these 3 things come together, revenue and profit growth becomes near automatic. Let's talk through them. The first one is process. Have a sales process, which is exactly what we were just talking about. Your company way of selling. When you don't have a your company way of selling, when we don't have best practice bottled in terms of how we move somebody through our buyer's journey, in any sales environment, we tend to second guess ourselves. And we second guess ourselves because we don't know where we're leading the customer. We don't know what questions to ask. We don't know where we're taking them. We don't know the direction in which we're leading. And if you don't have a destination and a map to get there, then by definition, you can't be a leader because you're not taking me anywhere. And so when we second guess ourselves, who picks up on this? The customer, the prospect. Please write this down. In a world full of uncertainty, people crave certainty. In a world full of uncertainty, people crave certainty. Sales is a transference of certainty. Even if it's a landing page. If you're in e-com and you don't know how to communicate to me and you're not confident, I will pick it up when I'm on the landing page. It will resonate into me. People crave certainty. Nobody wants to be sold to, everybody wants to be led. Please write this down, team. My prospect is silently begging to be led. My prospect is silently begging to be led. We want your sales process to do a few things, right? So we're still on process. Write these down, team. The outcomes of a good sales process. Number 1, increase conversions. Increase conversions. If you currently convert 20% of your leads, if you currently convert 40%, 60%, Doesn't matter what the current number is. But let's say out of 10 inquiries, we currently convert 2. If we just improve the sales process, we don't generate any more leads, we don't have any more sales conversations. If you're an e-com, we don't generate any more traffic. We just improve the sales process. And we take the conversions from 20% to 40%, which often the increase is significantly greater than that. Argument's sake, let's say we take them from 20% to 40%. It's like, oh, that's cute, Jack, we just increased conversions by 20%. No. We just doubled the revenue of the business. If everything else holds, we just doubled the revenue of the business. No more work, no more spend, not generating any more leads. We just doubled the revenue of the business. And for the vast majority of the business in the room, you're operating on a pretty decent fixed cost base, right? And so the more we can grow revenue, eventually the cost base starts to plateau out. The revenue is able to continue to grow. Your cost base doesn't grow proportionally. It grows a little bit slower than the revenue, and you come into more and more margin as the organization grows. And so when I talk about growing revenue, team, please understand the ultimate objective here is profit. But revenue is a very necessary first step. You guys would have heard the conversation of, what do they say? Revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. It's like, yeah, maybe sometimes, but not necessarily. Let's say the biggest constraint in your business right now is we don't have enough cash flow, we don't have enough resources, and you would like to start expanding your team. It might look like the main constraint is expanding the team. It's not. It's actually generating more cash flow. But let's say we increase the revenue by a few $100,000 and we invest most of that into expanding out your team. That revenue doesn't fall through to profit, but it's very fucking useful in helping you support yourself and build a business that medium term will create much more profit than if we went immediately to maximizing margin now. Who follows? And so revenue isn't vanity. Through a strategic eye, revenue is necessary. Because it's not revenue or profit, it's more revenue now so that we can build an organization that can generate significantly more profit in the medium term than what it would be if we started to focus on maximizing profit right now. Some of you are going to be in a position where you're able to start focusing on maximizing profit right now. It's just not always the case. And so when we increase sales conversions, remember we spoke before about every decision in business is an investment decision, and what we're looking for is asymmetry. We've improved the sales. It hasn't cost us anything. We're not generating any more work, but the output is significant. The outcome is significant. It's a really targeted way to increase your profitability. The second thing we want a good sales process to do, team, is to reduce time to sale. Please write that down. Reduce time to sale. When we don't have a sales process, there's web developers and web people that help people with digital conversions in this room that used to take 3 months to get somebody from inquiry to deal that now do it in 10 days. And you can imagine the increase in velocity of revenue that will eventually fall through to profit if we can achieve that increase in velocity. You're an e-com business. Right now it takes me 6 visits to your website before I buy. Let's say we can get that down to 2. We just tripled the velocity of the revenue generation of the business. And so time to sale is a really important metric. And the reason why time to sale is often so blown out is because we don't have a sales process, and so we're not leading. And so you're a web developer that focuses on building websites that convert, and someone calls and it's like, hey, yeah, cool. So we build websites, and like we can build like any website, whatever website you want. And like we could like catch up and talk about it if you want to catch up and talk, like, because I'm free, like we could catch up like this week or next week, or like even the week after that we could catch up. Like I'm super free and I could come to you. This is the other reason we avoid sales, is because when we're not trained in it, it's fucking awkward, right? Understand this, team. The more trained you become in communication, the less salesy you become. It's counterintuitive. The more you dedicate to understanding how to influence your prospect, the less salesy you will become, because the less you'll be selling, the more you'll be leading them to buy. And so we go from whatever that was to, great, thanks for calling. Before we start, why ask why now? What was it that caused you to want to reach out? Elicit the need. Great, okay, on that basis, let me tell you how we do these conversations. We've been around for about 10 years, and so we've got a process as to how we can tailor the best roadmap for you. What we're going to do from here is but. The prospect now goes, thank God I found somebody that knows what they're doing and can lead me to a solution. So sales process helps us reduce time to sale. The third thing sales process does, team, please write it down, is increase average dollar per sale. Now, we've got a process. When we get to the point where we're packaging and positioning your product or service, we call that an offer. Please write that into your workbook, an offer, which is how do you package and present what you do to maximize its perceived value. What I'll take you guys through in the next session is a model that I've kind of borrowed and extended from Hormozi that really captures how do we distill the ingredients of what equates to perceived value in the mind of your prospect so that we can increase perceived value at the point of sale to help them buy more and to buy now without hesitating for the right people. So we've got your company way of selling. We're packaging and positioning your product or service in the best possible way that increases, maximizes perceived value. When we get all of that right, the third element here, team, please write it down, is price. And so increasing prices isn't smart in that instance, or you do government tenders and you just can't increase your prices, right? It's going to be about maybe let's say 8 to 10% of the room that fall into that category. For the rest of you, I really want you to hear everything I'm about to say. As business owners, we're very good at undercharging. As business owners, we're very good at not increasing our prices to be commensurate with the value that you offer. If I took you out of your business, put you in a competitor's business and said you're selling this product or service for 40% more as of today, you probably would and you probably could. But when it's our business, we've got a sense of imposter syndrome. We know our flaws, we know our inadequacies, we know the operational gaps in the business, and so therefore we tend to undervalue ourselves. And so for 90% of you, there is already incredible permission in your business right now to significantly increase your price. Let's say we start to attract and build a tribe. We start to generate more leads. The leads that don't buy, we start to nurture. We're moving people through a dedicated world-class sales process with a hell of an offer that really increases the perceived value as to what you're offering me. Well, now we don't just have permission to increase price, we've got double permission to increase price because the quality, not even the quantity necessarily, the quality of our marketing and sales, really the quality of our messaging is giving us significant permission to increase price. And here's the thing, team. Remember, what we're talking about here is asymmetry. What are the moves we can make in your business to make you more money? Easier. Here's the thing. This is something that very, very, very few business owners understand. Let's say you charge $100 for your thing. And let's say at the end of the year, you've got a net profit margin of 10%. Let's say we increase your price to $110. Right? So we just increase price by 10%. Where does that extra $10 go? Accountants in the room, please. Bottom line. It goes to your bottom line. It's like, Jack, that's cute, 10% increase in price. That's, yeah, awesome, that's nice. No. We just doubled the net profit of the business. We just doubled the net profit of the business. Again, didn't generate any more leads, didn't even convert any more sales. In this particular example, we just added 10% to the price. We doubled the net profit of the business. Who's starting to see that there's moves that you can make in your business that can enable you to make significantly more money? It's just about picking the right ones and becoming the architect and the strategist. And this is what we're here to help you to do, by the way. Where's the biggest constraint? Where do we start? Do one of these a quarter, you're in the top 0.01%. Who's starting to see this by show of hands? Awesome. Thank you. Price. It's such a exponential influence on bottom line that very few people understand the economics of. And team, if you're not in the 10% of people in the room that shouldn't increase your price, you're in that 90%. Often when we go through this process, we help you boost prices by significantly more than 10%. particularly, I mean, just straight away, but particularly once we've done all of that as well, right? For some people, it saves their entire business model and helps it to grow to the next level, right? The third aspect, team, please draw it in your model, is delivery. Delivery. I'm going to talk through this super quick. Today is mainly focused on the marketing and the sales aspects. The first aspect of delivery, please write it into your model. It's very anticlimactic. Deliver, which is do the thing. Deliver on the promise. Unfortunately, we live in a world where, as consumers, we're so used to not receiving our core fundamental foundational promise that when a brand does, it builds equity, which is great for us. It's unfortunate the quality has slipped to the degree that it has. That represents opportunity for you. Just deliver. This is the red brain stuff. Just do the thing. The second aspect under deliver, team, please draw it in your model, is delight, which is how do we form an emotional connection with your customer? How do we speak to their emotions throughout our customer journey so that we build relationship? Delight isn't like, we used to do things like we'd send people around like Barossa Valley and hot air balloons and stuff. That's not what it's about. It's just about build fundamental relationship, right? Why do I want you to build a relationship with your customers regardless of what you sell? Because I don't want you to be a commodity. I don't want you to be a commodity. When you're a commodity and you're a B2C business and what's the bloody thing right now? The cost of living crisis hits. If you're just a commodity, I stop buying. If you're in B2B and the economy slows and you're a commodity, I put a pencil through you, right? And so we never want to be a commodity. We want to form a relationship with our consumer. We do that through delight. And then the third aspect of delivery, team, I am going to go a little bit into this one, is amplify. Please write that into your model, amplify. When you start out in business, we don't have any customers yet. Therefore, we don't have any happy or successful customers yet. And so what happens is we get in the habit of marketing and selling and even delivering our product or service without testimonials, case studies, success stories, without amplifying the happiness of our existing customers. Just because we're in the habit, we never had it when we started. But 5 years passes, 10 years passes, 20 years passes, you've now got thousands of happy customers or clients, maybe tens of thousands of happy customers or clients, but we're still marketing without case studies or testimonials or success stories. We want to increase conversions in sales and marketing. One of the main ways to do that is show me stories of people that I see myself in, that bought the thing and got the outcome that I'm seeking. And I'm significantly more likely to buy from you because you've shown me proof that I can see myself in. And so if you are currently marketing and selling and even delivering, I'll talk to delivering in a moment, marketing and selling without case studies or success stories or testimonials, get excited because it's a huge, huge upside potential move to make. But let's say we're marketing really well. We're selling through a world-class sales process. We're delivering, we're delighting, and then we're capturing that happiness. What that does is it fuels into the marketing, which generate leads, which fuels into the sales, which wins more of the right customers, which means we have a growing customer base that we tap into and amplify the happiness. This is why we call it the drive growth cycle, because it creates an upward spiral of growth that ultimately enables you, please write it in your model, to do that. Scale. Here's the thing, team. Even the businesses that do use testimonials, generally the testimonials suck. It usually sounds something like, we used Sally from ABC Marketing and her team were really friendly and they were really professional and it was amazing and it was great. Does nothing to influence my psychology, does nothing to move me along the buying spectrum, does nothing to increase my intent. Tells me Sally's a nice person, but other than that, doesn't really do much. Right? In how we capture testimonials, case studies, success stories, we want to follow an arc, team. I want to take you through this arc so that we can all capture testimonials that seriously increase intent. Now, why do I keep saying testimonials, success stories, and case studies? Reason being, testimonial is probably like a sentence or two. Or if it was a video, it might be a 20-second video. A success story might be like a couple of paragraphs. If it was a video, it might be a 60-second video. A case study might be a page or two with diagrams and stuff. If it was a video, it might be a 5 or 6 minute video. All the same story, but with a little bit of elasticity in terms of how quickly we tell the story. Why? Because throughout your funnel, if I'm top of funnel, you tend to want to use shorter stuff because you don't have much of my attention yet. If it's middle of funnel, you might want to use a success story slightly longer, but not too long. And if I'm right there, like about to make a buying decision and you charge, let's say, more than 2 or 3K for your product, then I will watch a 6-minute case study because I'm so invested in the process, and that might give me the reassurance that I need. And so that's why I use the 3 different examples, but they all follow the same. It's all the same individual. It's all the same story arc. It's even the same photo shoot or the same thing that they emailed you if it was written. It's just shaped differently. Does that make sense to anybody? Show of hands. Awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the story arc is this. We start with the before picture. What was going on before? What was the challenge? What was the pain points? What were the problems? And the more emotive we can be here, the better. Secondly, what changed? Who can tell me what changed, by the way? I bought your thing. That's what changed. And then you might go into what did I particularly love or find most useful about your thing? And then the third act in the story arc is the after. What are the results that I achieved? What are the outcomes that I got? What were the benefits that I achieved? And so I want you to think of, because here's the thing, team, when you ask anybody for a testimonial, the one reason they're going to hesitate to give it to you is they don't know what to write. They don't know what to say. You equip them with a framework, even give them the script. We'll go into some implementation around this a little bit later on. It needs to be authentic to the individual. It needs to represent their true stories, but help them with a framework or help them with the wording. We're going to generate significantly better testimonials. Step 5 in selling essentials is all around overcoming objections. Well, it's all around how do you prevent objections from coming up. Again, even if you're an e-com business and the objections just come up in the mind of the consumer, they're never actually verbally said. And so here, team, in selling essentials, I go into that story arc with adding a little bit more ninja, adding a little bit more green brain. Yeah, absolutely take photos of the screen if you'd like to. So if you just do before what changed after, your testimonials will be better than 99.9% of what's out of the market. When you get to the success story or the case study, you got a little bit more time. If you can follow this structure, it's even a little bit better. So what you can see here, team, is we've got before, changed, after. We've then just got a few different things that we're integrating in between. You want to think of your testimonial or your success story as a play. You want to think of it as a movie. Again, you know, Sally's nice and her team were great and I found them really professional and they always responded on time, does nothing. So think of it like a movie. What you first want to do, if you want to get particularly ninja, is introduce the characters. If you're watching a movie, the only reason you care about what's happened to the characters is the people that are producing and writing the movie have found a way to get you to care about the characters. And so introduce the characters and introduce their humanity. Then touch on the before, which is what we discussed. Then go into hesitations and reasons for buying, which is essentially, and then I found TalkShop, to use one example, right? When I immediately came across them, I was really reluctant to reach out because that's hesitation. When I first found them, I hesitated. I was a bit reluctant because I'd always had, you know, a desire to improve my mental health, but I'd never spoken to a psychologist before, and I didn't know if I was ready. That's hesitation. Reasons for buying is what ultimately got me to make the decision is I had a phone call with Matt, and he told me that most of the clients that come through TalkShop start out exactly where I am. And so when I got started in TalkShop, what I really loved, then we're going to change, right? So hesitations and reasons for buying. What changed is I did buy the thing. What did they love the most, right? Which is more green brain stuff. We then go into the after. One thing I just want to add into the after team is this. The after needs to be wherever possible. If your product or service lends itself to this in any way, shape, or form, make sure it's captured in the after. The after is measurable, quantifiable, and timed. And so I came to the Entourage and loved everybody and I'm happier is not a good testimonial. But if we skip straight to the after, if I skip all that stuff, the after, we went from $2 million at a 12% margin to $6 million at an 18% margin in 3 years. Measurable, quantifiable, proof. And then 7 is what effect did this have on them personally and professionally, if professionally applies to your thing. What effect did this have on them personally? Meaning, the after is really practical, measured, timed, quantifiable, red brain stuff. We then want to go into emotional, human, green brain stuff. So that's amplify. As I said, team, when we start to integrate these throughout our marketing, sales, and delivery, conversions go up. I told you I was going to come back to delivery. Who in the room has an ongoing relationship with your customers or clients? Meaning you don't just sell a Mars bar and they come to Coles buy a Mars bar, but it's like a 3, 12, 18 months or more relationship with customers or clients. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Love that. So team, for those that have an ongoing relationship with your customers, answer me this. Are they good at forgetting the value that you ultimately offer to them? Yes or yes? Yes. Right. Because they become accustomed to it. A really good way to help your customers and clients, firstly, know how to use you better. Secondly, lean into you and engage with you more. And thirdly, really value what you're delivering to them is continue to show me case studies throughout my customer journey. So we've got buyer's journey here, which is where I'm buying. We've got customer journey here. Continue to show me case studies of other people who are using your thing and succeeding as a result of it, which reiterates the value and also educates and teaches your customers how to better utilize you because they can now do what Julie did. Right? And so we want to amplify happiness, amplify success right throughout the entire drive growth cycle. In order to understand influence, whether that's marketing, sales, or in delivery, retention, continuation, and increasing lifetime value, we need to understand how human beings make decisions. We need to understand what drives human decision making. Okay? For many of you, this will be some useful revision. For some of you, it might be the first time hearing it. Team, everybody in this room is probably familiar with left and right brain thinking, yeah? Alrighty, so what is the left side of the brain known for? Please write it into your model, red brain. The left side of the brain is known for logic. What do we do when we get to a red light? What color is the stop sign? When we stop at a red light or we stop at a stop sign, what are we looking for? Danger. When anchored in red brain, it causes your prospects to stop, pause, look for danger, and ultimately retreat. Red brain is anything, any conversation, any content, any email, any landing page, any conversation, any question, any tour that focuses on your product, your service, your terms, the contracts, the features, anything that's focused on the product or the service or anything that's within it is considered red brain and will anchor your prospect into their red brain. Red brain becomes our comfort zone. Because we know our product, we know our service, we know everything about it, we know how awesome it is, we red brain ourselves out of sales. Red brain team, please write this down. Red brain is the what if brain. What if there's something better else out there? What if my spouse doesn't approve of the purchase? What if it's not as good as they say it is? What if I never actually wear it? Red brain is the what if brain. And when anchored in red brain, it will cause your prospects to stop, pause, and often, ultimately, retreat. Please write in the red brain section of your model team, increases procrastination. increases procrastination. On the other hand, what do we do when we get to a green light? Who's ever got into a green light, driven through it, gotten to the other side and thought to yourself, Jesus Christ, was that light green? Who's been there by show of hands? Right, we've all been there. Who's ever come up to a green light and a pedestrian or a bicyclist has encroached out onto the road and it startled you? Who's been there by show of hands? Why were we startled? Thank you. We weren't looking for danger. We call the right side of the brain green brain. And green brain is centered around, please write it in your model up the top, emotion. When anchored in green brain, your prospects make better, faster decisions. Please write that down. It accelerates decision making. When you talk about the experience of your prospect, when you talk about their problems, their pain points, their frustrations, or their wants, their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, we're now having a green brain conversation. And in order to make a decision, we need both sides of the brain activated. We need both sides of the brain activated. Please write this down, team. It might be the most powerful sales principle on the planet. People buy emotionally and justify logically. Every post you post on social media, every email you send, every subject line, every text message, how you answer the phone, the very first sentence you say to me when I inquire, the very first question you ask, the very way you answer any of my questions will put me in red brain or green brain. The game is knowing when to activate red brain, when to activate green brain, and how to use them both together to help the right people make a good buying decision. In green brain, team, there's ultimately two fundamental forces that influence every single decision that we as human beings make. There's two fundamental forces that influence every single thing you do. These are both green brain. I'm going to draw them in red and green, but they both fall under green brain. Everything we do, team, is motivated by two forces. The first force is a desire to move away from pain. We call these away from motivators. Please write them into your book. Away from motivators. This is your prospect's current state, their current undesired reality, their frustrations, their fears. What are they experiencing right now that they don't want to? Or what may they experience in the future if something doesn't change? It's either the avoidance of pain or the avoidance and anticipation of future pain. The second force that directs everything we do is the desire to move towards pleasure. We call these towards motivators. Please write that into your book. Towards motivators. This is the future desired state, the goals, the dreams, the aspirations, the wants, the needs. And so, hear me when I say this, team. Absolutely everything that you do is driven by these two forces. The desire to move away from pain and the desire to move toward pleasure. From where you live, to the business that you started, to the spouse that you chose or to the spouse that you deselected. That one struck a chord. To the hotel that you're choosing to stay at while you're in Melbourne. To what time you went to bed last night. To what time you woke up. To what you had for breakfast. To the clothes that are on our backs. To where you're sitting in the room, to why you're here at all, is all driven by a desire to move away from pain and towards pleasure. Let's go one level deeper here. We will do more as human beings to move away from pain than we will to move towards pleasure. You will do more to ensure that your kid doesn't go to school without shoes than to ensure that they're wearing the latest, greatest, most expensive shoes. You will do more to make sure your business doesn't fail than you will to make sure it succeeds. The problem with being driven only from away from, though, is that results are inconsistent. Because let's say we're driven only from away from, we don't have any towards motivation, and it's, I don't want to be overweight, I don't want to be overweight, I don't want to be overweight, I don't want to be overweight. Is that an away from or a towards? That's an away from. I don't want to, so I do all the things, and I get to the point where I'm not overweight. And then what happens to the motivation? It disappears. What happens to the behaviors? They disappear with it. And slowly I decline down that results curve again. I don't want to be broke, 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 I don't want to be broke. We get a little bit of money, I'm no longer broke. Fuck, I'm broke, don't want to be 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 broke. Don't want to be broke, right? If we're only driven by away from, it leads to inconsistent results. This is also really true for entrepreneurship in general. I read what is quickly becoming one of my favorite quotes last week. It was, entrepreneurship is a trauma response. And for those of you that have done consciousness days or personal development days with me, you'll know that just completely summarizes what usually takes me 2 days to teach. Entrepreneurship is a trauma response. Meaning, when we go into business and we're heaps younger, we go into business because there's a bit of, I need to prove myself. It's a bit of a fuck you to someone along the line. Something has happened that's made us not okay. We've got a chip on our shoulder and we're going to show everybody or show somebody in particular, right? Entrepreneurship is often, truly, a trauma response. And what happens is that's a great fuel in the beginning because it gets us going and it gets us heading in a pretty treacherous direction that we might not have otherwise if we weren't trying to avoid a lot of pain by going on this journey. But what happens is you get 5 years, 10 years, 20 years into the journey and you're still operating out of anger and angst and jealousy and envy and the need to prove yourself, and you think to yourself, fuck, this is exhausting. There must be a better way. And at some point, we want to evolve to using a different fuel source to fuel whatever behaviors we would like to demonstrate to achieve in business. And so, what's my vision here? And what can I achieve? And why do I love what I'm doing? And could I be fueled rather than angst and anger and grr and grit and jealousy and fuck you? Could I be fueled by vision, inspiration, creativity, joy, love of the work, love of myself, love of others, love of my customer, right? And ideally, we transition fuel source. And until you do, you might have some lumpy results. And so away from is really good to get us going. Towards will keep you in the game. Towards will pull you. Away from will push you. Here's the kicker. The same is true for your customer. And so what we have is a world of people that are selling their products or services, which is a red brain conversation. Nobody cares about the product or the service. The product or the service is simply the conduit to take me from there to there. I'm going to say that again. The product or the service is only relevant to the extent that it takes me from the away from towards the towards. Your product or your service is just the bridge in the middle. But we have marketing and sales conversations where we're focusing on the bridge rather than the person walking over it. We need to transcend the product, get into the hearts and minds of the prospect, and start having better conversations. Please write this down. All of marketing, all of sales is simply a from to. A from to. Where are you leading me away from and where are you leading me to? That's leadership. That's world-class marketing and world-class sales. Thank you and well done for watching this video right up until the very end. The best place to stay connected with me and receive more strategies like the one you received in this video to grow your business faster and to live a life on purpose is to simply follow me on Instagram, which is where I share everything. Simply @JackDeLosa. Shoot me a DM, let me know you came from YouTube. I look forward to connecting with you soon.